folks. I have been trying to make this video for an amount of time. It was genuinely supposed to be up on the 12th, but I was struggling to get it to a point that I would be happy with, which is funny considering that my entire thing is just one talk takes into a mic. You'd think that'd be easy. Essentially, I was going to do the how do I get good at games design, introduction to games design, basics of games design, blah 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 thing, but I'm blunt, I'm sick of doing it. I'm absolutely sick of doing it. The number of times that I have given the talk or done the video of how do I do the basics of games design, how do I get good at games design is ridiculous. And I'd like to do something a bit off the beaten track. I'll put some stuff in the doobly-doo below about basic stuff, but essentially games design is a muscle. Think of it like a muscle, okay? I used to do a lot of martial arts, and at one point when I was at my best, I basically had an industrial trash compactor on the end of each hand. I had an insane grip strength. And I would occasionally have people say, like, how did you get such ridiculous grip strength? And the answer was quite simple. Practice. It was, I used it and built it up over time until it got to the point where it was good. There we go. And broadly, that is how you get good at games design. You do the thing. You do the thing. But then the follow-up question is, well, what is the thing I do? And honestly, the only real answer I've come up with that I am happy with is the basics. It's the old Bruce Lee quote, I don't fear a man who has practiced 10,000 kicks one time. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times. If you look at people who are the best at what they do, I am a big fan of Legend of Zelda Randomizer, Link to the Past Randomizer, which is where you take the game Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past, and it scrambles up all the locations of where all the items are, and then you have to use logic to kind of follow the flow of where the game wants you to go in order to be able to complete the game. They have tournaments for it. My favourite runner is someone called Andy. He's very, very talented, one of the best runners in the game. And one of the big reasons why I like watching him is because he has done the basics a million times. He has done what would seem to be the most asinine and basic things. He has done them enough that they are. There was a recent match that he took part in, which I'll link down below, where he is playing against an equally skilled player. These are two of the best players currently playing the game, and they are playing an alternate mode where like enemies are scrambled and the game is deliberately hard, called hard mode, weirdly. And the two of them are doing similar strategies. They're both doing similar things and similar tricks and glitches and stuff like that. The level at which they execute them is insane. And essentially, that is how you get genuinely good. If you want to get good at games design, you need to not look at the stuff like, all the way over there. You need to get good at this stuff to get to that stuff. It's I tute, where and one of the things I try and instill in the kids is the idea of knowledge pyramiding. So like, let's see if I can arrange. So like down here, you have 1 + 1 = 2. So you know basic addition. 1 - 1 = 0. 2 × 2 = 4. You have the very, very basics of arithmetic down here. And then up here, you have the kind of stuff that you would study at PhD level. And to get to that PhD level stuff, you have to build that pyramid. And you'll notice about pyramids that the bottom is much, much, much wider than the top. So if you're desperate to become good at game design, you're desperate to make the next Magic the Gathering, the next Flesh and Blood, the next Warhammer 40,000, the next Dungeons and Dragons, the understanding of fundamentals will allow you to get to that point, however high up the pyramid it is. And I've realised as a white person, should not be doing that kind of thing, especially when it's gifable. You need to be focusing on those fundamentals. You need to be focusing on that base layer and building it. And then working your way up. I mean, I have Wizards of the Coast very kindly sent me a Happy Holidays card, and this has, look at how much text that has. Woof, that is a lot of text. And this exists. This is quite an interesting effect. It does cool things. But the only reason why this card can exist and be interesting and be fun is because cards like Lightning Bolt, which is pay 1 mana, do 3 damage, exist. It is that pyramid effect again. You only get the really cool, interesting, intricate card designs by having the boring pay X to do Y. Some friends of mine are, this is not sponsored by them, but I thought I'd mention it. Some friends of mine have been wanting to launch an RPG. Not an RPG, sorry. Some friends are launching an RPG. Wrong project, should not have spoken about that, forget it. Some friends are wanting to launch a CCG called Animal Kingdom. It's kind of furry themed. It's about different mayors of towns creating workforces in order to hire adventurers to complete quests to gain renown. First person to reach 50 renown wins the game. Okay, I'll link stuff down below about it. It's interesting. But they have still put in those cards which are do X for Y. And then there's all kinds of weird and wonderful funky stuff further down the line. I think, to be honest, that is the part that most people fall down on. This is the bit that most people have a fundamental misunderstanding of. They think and hope that there is some magic formulae, there is some I won't say cheat, and actually I'm being quite negative when I say magic formulae. People assume that talent is more powerful than it actually is. You know, people assume that because you can create things that are interesting or engaging, that you must have some kind of secret source that makes you different to them. And ultimately, that secret source is generally just being really stubborn. Like, it's just being willing to sit down and go, no, I'm gonna draw maps for D&D, and they're gonna be terrible. And eventually, I will figure out what makes a good map and what makes a bad map, and then I can use that knowledge to make genuinely good maps. There was a gentleman I went to university with who was a very, very talented FPS map designer, incredibly talented, and he had an archive of every map he had ever made. Well, specifically within Worldhammer, Half-Life Gold, like Source Gold, no, not Source Gold, Half-Life Gold, the original Half-Life engine, and yeah, and basically, like, he gave me a copy of the archive, and it was divided by year. I mean, he was a bit OCD about it, but it was divided by year, and you could see a progression from, like, his first maps, which were very choke point heavy, were very non-interactive, were very unbalanced one way or the other, to the stuff he was putting out in his second year of university, which were fantastic. They were interesting deathmatch maps. They supported the style of play for the game that he was building them for, a game called Warsaw, which was like a movement-based Quake-esque deathmatch game. And he had that understanding and that way that the levels should go together that worked. And his reason for it was, I made a lot of bad maps, and I played a lot of maps, and I learned what works and what doesn't. And yeah, I mean, I'm not giving any grand secret away. Like, practice and try is not exactly secret, but you will find that you can improve your abilities at a better rate if you are willing to look at what are the basics, what are the core that make up the project you're working on, what are the things that people want to engage with, and work on improving that. One of the principles from basic games design that I do is that all good games, well, all games, but all good games, have an engaging main game loop. So they have a number of actions that you perform which keep the game moving. So, you know, Halo. By the way, the last time I gave a games design class, it was to a group of children. They were about 11, 12 years old, all boys. And I said, like Halo, and they all were like, what's Halo? So, you know, I am older than time itself, apparently. So yeah, like Halo is you engage a large number of enemies and begin shooting them. You take enough damage that your shields are depleted, you take cover and regenerate your shields, and then you step back out and shoot those enemies. And that is the loop. And Bungie looked at each piece of that loop and went, okay, we'll make the enemies obvious, they're distinct, they have a very different silhouette to humans, to allies, to anything like that. They each have their own ways of being engaged, they, you know, the guns have different things, blah, 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 blah. Then we'll make it very obvious, very, very obvious when you have lost your shields. You know, like, bloop, 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 like really, really make you know when you should be pulling out, or you'll run out of ammunition, or whatever. And then we will fill the environment with areas where you can take cover, like chest-high walls, like corners, like stuff like that. And you can then take that rest, wait, bing, and then you can pop back out and carry on. And that makes Halo run. All of the other shit, all of the storyline, everything else is based on that. So in the pyramid example, that is your base of your pyramid, and you can build from there. Yeah, so if you are struggling with a design that you're trying to do, like case in point, there's a pick crew for making your own Bluey, like the Bluey character, which I fucking genius. So my plan is I'm going to make a Bluey RPG, because I now can make little Bluey OCs and put them in the text. And so the first thing I need to do is decide what I want to communicate to my players. What exactly about Bluey do I want to communicate to my players, and then how can I build a main game loop that supports that flavour? Okay? Once I have got that main game loop that supports that flavour, then I can build upon it. But initially I want to build that main loop. You may hear it referred to as a minimum viable product. This is like the next step on from a minimum viable product. So a minimum viable product is literally like the dice roll mechanic. And then communicating what you're looking to communicate through your main game loop is step 2. And then it builds from there. Don't know if this has been any help. My mental health has been in the absolute toilet recently, and this, I just wanted to get it out, so I've got it out. Sorry it's late. There'll be another video next week, hopefully on Thursday. Maybe I'll go crazy again. Who knows? But yeah. In regards to links on videos and stuff like that, I will be finishing up doing links on the previous video soon. I had a bit of a debate with myself as to, because I was directing people to things that they could buy, and someone said to me that you should make a Amazon affiliate so that you can have people make some money when they contact you, when they buy stuff. I really, really struggled with that, and I've decided that morally, no. I am no longer a Twitch affiliate because of how I believe the stance for how Amazon has used the 50% of Twitch subscriptions. So to me it seems wrong to then say, I am uncomfortable with Amazon's business practices. I do not think that you shouldn't order from Amazon, but I don't think that you should explicitly be feeding Amazon. And then go, oh, and by the way, use my Amazon affiliate link in the doobly-doo down below. So yeah. As always, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, anything like that, put them down below. Email me at gmmoley@gmail.com. Just chat, and yeah, that's it. Build your pyramid, focus on your main game loop, make sure that what you're doing supports that main game loop, and keep having fun, keep being awesome.